Hello everyone, my name is Jay Chaparro and my presentation is going to be on Celeste. Celeste is a video game developed by Matt Makes Games and is available on most modern gaming platforms such as PC, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, you name it, the list goes on. Celeste was released in January 2018 and is a video game where you take control of Madeline, where the main goal is to climb a mountain while going through a myriad of levels, solving puzzles, avoiding obstacles, fighting bosses, etc. The game's design is a simple one to understand. It is a platformer that combines several mechanics such as wall grappling, jumping, and multi-directional ground and aerial dash. These few mechanics pretty much make up the entirety of the core gameplay of the game. Advancing through the game does not reward you with any skills or powers. Instead, the game grows increasingly more vast and complex in its level design, giving the player an incentive to further their reaction timing and make greater use of character spacing within a given area. As mentioned by Thorson in an interview with ChargeShot, a central design goal of Celeste was to make the character growth walk in step with player growth, so that as Madeline is growing and improving, the player is too, which can go hand in hand with some of the aesthetics that the game has, such as sensation, expression, or challenge. A unique mechanic within Celeste is one that uses the player's inputs to control the AI. I call it the mirror mechanic because I couldn't find any sources as to what exactly it's called. Basically, when this mechanic happens, it shows a copy of your character or a sort of copy of your character on screen that starts mimicking all of the moves that you make on around a 3 to 4 second delay. This contributes to one of the many aesthetics this game can be attributed to, like, for example, challenge. The game manages to pin your own actions against you so that you have to plan accordingly what steps to take next while keeping in mind the steps that you've already taken. You yourself become an obstacle, which in turn makes you challenge yourself to overcome yourself. This point creates a correlation with the dynamics of the game, which can make player inputs vary with each playthrough. During a presentation at GDC in 2017, Thorson describes how level design is approached, stating that the moment-to-moment gameplay is inspired by real rock climbing. Thorson then describes it as having the idea of multiple approaches, meaning that if there is a specific puzzle or obstacle that the player needs to get through, there isn't a set or predetermined way that the player needs to act in order to get past it. This is possible thanks to how flexible the mechanics of the game can be. If a player is presented with a roadblock, you can ask the question of, can I just jump past it? Is there a wall I can grab onto? Do I dash forward or upward? My experience was the same way. Every obstacle would have multiple answers on how to get through it. It all comes down to experimentation, which can instantly be seen just by looking at the layout of the levels. In that same interview, Thorson talks about the length of the levels and how they were created to instill a feeling of stress as you progress. The levels are designed in sections so that if the player dies, they return to the beginning of any given section, which is simple enough given how short these sections are. However, that feeling of stress is definitely apparent when you encounter one of the longer sections. Given the complexity of the levels, it's very easy for the player to make more mistakes as they increase the level of urgency by requiring you to either run away from something or having to make tightly timed inputs in order to successfully progress. In the words of Thorson, the longer the levels, the bigger the stakes are because you lose more progress when you die, adding to that aesthetic feeling of stress. These are just some of the basic functions that create the overall experience of Celeste, and I recommend trying it out for yourself in order to fully see what I'm talking about. That is the end of my presentation, and I thank you all for watching. Peace.